ప్రపంచ బ్యాంకు మంగళవారం రోజున వెల్లడించిన వివిధ దేశాల ఆర్థిక అభివృద్ధి రేటులో భారతదేశం 2024-2025 సంవత్సరానికి గాను 7.5% వృద్ధి రేటుతో ప్రపంచంలో అగ్రగామిగా నిలిచినట్లు తెలియజేసింది. గత సంవత్సరం ఇదే ప్రపంచ బ్యాంకు 60% వృద్ధి రేటుతో ఈ సంవత్సరం ఉంటుంది అని అంచనా వేసింది. కానీ ప్రపంచ బ్యాంకు అంచనా మించి భారత ఆర్థిక అభివృద్ధి రేటు 1.5% పెరిగినట్లు ప్రపంచ బ్యాంకు వెల్లడించింది. భారత ప్రధాని నరేంద్ర మోదీ గారు భారత కరెన్సీ రూపాయిని ప్రపంచ కరెన్సీగా చలామణి చేయవలసిందిగా భారతీయ రిజర్వ్ బ్యాంకుకు సూచించిన కాసేపటికి ప్రపంచ బ్యాంకు తన అంచనాను ప్రపంచానికి తెలియజేసినట్లు రష్యా ఈ వార్తను ప్రసారం చేసింది. భారతీయ మీడియా ఈ వార్తను ప్రసారం చేసిందో లేదో తెలియదు. ఈ రోజు రష్యా చాలా గర్వంగా భారతదేశం ఎదుగుదలను తన దేశంలో అన్ని టీవీ న్యూస్ ఛానల్లో ప్రసారం చేసింది.
The World Bank has revised its outlook for India's economy. We're talking about a possible projection of 7% growth. Now, it comes shortly after Prime Minister Modi urged the National Bank to prepare a strategy for the global acceptance of its currency, the rupee.
We have to enhance Bharat's economic self-reliance. We have to endeavour that our economy should be least affected by global adversities. Today, Bharat is becoming the engine of global growth with 15% in global GDP growth. In these circumstances, we should endeavour that our rupee is more accessible and acceptable globally.
Well, since Modi first took office in 2014, the size of India's economy has doubled. But he's now outlined a strategy that would shape the next 10 years. The Indian leader has urged the banking system to focus on the needs of all economic sectors. And South Asia strategist Dr. Wael Awad says the new plan will help India to strengthen its role as a global power.
Actually, this is a very ambitious plan by the Prime Minister since the financial sector is meeting a 3-day conference started today in Bombay. So therefore, the Prime Minister wanted to see that Indian growth is a global achievable, and also India become an example to leading the South-South cooperation. Therefore, he wanted to see India moving ahead and taking its position as a global power. India has been on this road for some time now. They have already started dealing with the rupees in the neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Iran, and even Russia and also UAE. I think India is an active member of the BRICS country, which already have moved away from the de-dollarization and are trying to deal as a partner or dealing with local currency. Now we have seen that the ruble have already taken into the basket of other financial methods, including the Chinese currency, which also have been having some effect on the trade, and it's already doing its job in the trading market. So if India can include its currency also in this, it's a welcome step, especially by the BRICS country, which is trying to stay away from the dollars, from the pound, from the euro.
The initiative comes amid reported negotiations over a free trade agreement between India and the Eurasian Economic Union bloc. Now, that would reduce customs duties on a number of goods. And within the Eurasian bloc, Russia remains India's top partner, with bilateral trade worth almost $50 billion last year. And payments between them are also being made in national currencies.
There are no problems in determining the means of payment for the black gold exported by Russia. Priority is given to national currencies. This makes it possible not to depend on the so-called rules of the game imposed by the West when carrying out banking transactions.
Well, a blossoming multipolarity in the world is resulting in countries are also beginning to veer away from the US dollar. And RT contributor Chris M says India, for right now, is in an ideal position at this present moment in time to take full advantage.
I think we can see India emerging now as not just a regional but global powerhouse. We're seeing the amount of trade that the Indian's doing. We're seeing its economic output year upon year increase. And of course, there are other reasons for that. India has a rapid birth rate, which obviously always helps a country to grow. But in terms of the management of the Indian economy, I just think the Indians are now, shaking off the shackles of colonialism, which they've been doing for a while since their independence, and are now going to emerge as a real dominant global force. And India being one of those countries which is at the forefront of innovative and new technologies. Now you've got a number of countries in this new multipolar world order that are saying, look, We don't want to have one global reserve currency with one country that uses their currency to dictate what we can do and use it as essentially a weapon of war. They're talking about using their currencies, which should be dictated really by the size of their economies, right? It makes probably no sense to anyone that everyone uses the US dollar, whereas the US economy is stagnating. They're saying, why don't we use all of our currencies to trade with each other? And I think we've seen the way in which the US has managed its fiscal policy. It has been completely reckless. They had a very big warning in 2008 with the financial crash. They had many warnings before that, but it seems they've just ignored it. They've continued to print a lot of money. They've continued to weaponize financial sanctions against countries, some countries that have done absolutely nothing to offend them whatsoever. It's the amount of debt that the US government is in, trillions upon trillions of dollars. If you're in that much debt of your own currency, then what's the value of it? I think other countries are looking at other options because the US dollar, it doesn't take a rocket science or even an economist to work out. It's a pretty dead dud now.